Hello. So a very good morning to everyone. गांधी जी ने दांडी मार्च के जरिए नमक को एक पहचान दिया था. After that, many years later, we have Chef Harpal Singh, who has given salt a new pehchan. So welcome Chef Harpal Singh Sokhi
Thank you so
to
much.
this
Thank you.
gathering
Thank you.
and World of Hospitality Expo. Thank you for being with us. So I was going through your book.
Ji.
Chef Harpal has come out with a book which is called The Biryani Leader. And it's a management book, unlike you would expect from a chef. You know, it's not a cookbook. It's a cookbook, yeah, but it holds a recipe for management, how to manage your organizations, how to manage people. So, chef, tell me something. What is the story behind Namak Shamak first?
So the story of Namak Shamak is very interesting for all of you to know this, that, many of them keep asking me this thing. It was sometime about, I think about 15 years back, when I used to do television shows, but 15 years back when I started doing serious television. So we were almost in the, in the studio doing some practice sessions, and my director Girish Madhu was there, and I was there, and we were almost ready for a practice session, to understand how things work and how we are going to go about for shooting. So he called me and he asked me one very interesting thing, and I think such challenges should be put across to people. Only then you can get the best out of people. So he called me and he said that Harpal, तुम मुझे ये बताओ कि तुमको मरने के बाद लोग कैसे याद रखेंगे. तो ये मैंने कहा कि ये तो बड़ा डिफ़िकल्ट सा सवाल है गिरीश भाई, ये अभी मैं कैसे बता दूं, और मुझे जीते जी याद रख लें, मैंने व्हेन आई एम अलाइव तब याद रख लें तो आई कैन फील दैट द वैल्यू ऑफ माय हार्ड वर्क. बोला नहीं, मरने के बाद कैसे याद रखेंगे ये बताओ तुम, कि तुम गुजर गए उसके बाद भी लोग नमक शमक किचन में बोल रहे हैं, ये बताओ. मैंने कहा यार ये सवाल तो मुझे पता ही नहीं है, भाई तुम इंस्टेंटली पूछ रहे हो, मैं जवाब दे नहीं पाऊंगा. तो उन्होंने कहा कि शूटिंग बंद, मैं जा रहा हूँ, जिस दिन तुमको इसका जवाब मिल जाएगा तुम आ जाना, हम शूटिंग शुरू कर देंगे. तो मैं बड़ा डिप्रेस हो गया. मैं आई वेंट बैक होम एंड and my daughter, younger daughter, is an avid reader of books, various books she keeps reading. And I went to her room and I just sat there and I saw her on her bed. There was a book of Mahatma. I just picked up that book and I just opened it, because I was not a very good reader then. Now I keep reading, but then I was not a very good reader. So I picked up that book, I opened the book. Midway through, when I opened the book, I somehow, through destiny, God's answer to this, or God's intervention to this, that chapter that opened was Satyagraha, and I started reading that chapter. And as I kept reading the book, I kept getting interested, and I kept reading throughout for the next 2 days, and I realized that Gandhi ji gave us the start of our freedom by picking up salt as a subject, while all other bigger leaders like Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru Sahab, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, and all those Maulana Azad Sahab and all that, they were like, giving propositions which were something which were bigger, But Gandhi ji said that, okay, let's pick up the most basic thing and start, where it pinches to the Britishers. And that was the start of our freedom struggle, And in those 2-3 days, I started realizing that, if you don't add salt to food, then food becomes insipid. You don't enjoy food, unless and until you actually are asked by the doctor that तुमको नमक नहीं खाना है. लेकिन अगर आपको नमक खाना है तो और एडिक्वेट क्वांटिटी में खाना, मैं ये नहीं कहता हूँ कि ज़्यादा हो या कम हो, एडिक्वेट क्वांटिटी में खाना है, तो जिससे सारी चीज़ों का, सारे आहार का, मतलब आप you lift up the taste of all the other subjects, and such a beautiful thing that I realized then, that salt being such a simple thing does brings in so much of value to food. एंड आई रियलाइज यार ये नमक तो बहुत बड़ी कमाल की चीज़ है, ये तो हर खाने में डलता है, तो ये नमक के इर्द गिर्द कुछ कर देते हैं. सो आई सेड यार आई एम अ पंजाबी, तो हमारे वो बातों में वो लहजा यार, चाय वाय पी लेते हैं, यू नो दैट लिंगो दैट वी हैव, लस्सी वस्सी पी लेते हैं. तो इस तरह मैंने कहा नमक शमक डाल देंगे यार. ये मेरे दिमाग में उस समय ये वर्ड आ गया और मैंने कहा ये इसको करीब 4-5 दिन लगे. फिर देन आई वेंट टू गिरीश, मैंने कहा यार 4-5 दिन में गिरीश जी मुझे मिल गया, वो नुस्खा मिल गया मुझे जिससे लोग मुझे मरने के बाद याद रखेंगे. एंड आई गॉट दैट आंसर. आई टोल्ड हिम गिरीश जी जब नमक डालेंगे तो हम ना नमक शमक डाल देते हैं बोलेंगे ऐसे. बोले नहीं आप इसको गा के कुछ राइम बनाओ. तो देन वी स्टार्टेड सिंगिंग. देन देयर बिकेम अ जिंगल अराउंड इट कि नमक शमक डाल देते हैं. दिस जिंगल बिकेम सच अ फायर अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड, नॉट जस्ट इंडिया. आई मीन इट बिकेम अ फायर अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड. And as it kept getting popular, more things started getting added to the show. Like Namak was in a small little earthenware pot, which I would call it as energy ka pitara. And when I would add to the salt, I would like dance around it, you know, bring in that fun laughter, you know, to cooking, just to ensure that cooking was not boring. And cooking was laughter and cooking was happiness. So that came into the picture. And then it just went on happening and it still continues. And I'm now sure कि अगर मैं कल भी गुजर गया तो मुझे लगता है कि 100 साल तो और ये लोग नमक शमक गाएंगे. मतलब और वो फैक्ट सही है कि अगर गांधी जी के बाद किसी ने नमक को वो वाला दर्जा दिया है तो वो शायद मैं ही हूँ और मैं प्राउडली ये कहता हूँ.
Thank you,
जी
Chef, for this input because I
जी
really didn't know about this part
जी
about Mahatma Gandhi. I
जी.
just asked a question like that.
नहीं नहीं ये बहुत कम लोगों को पता है कि
Yeah.
बड़ी सिंपल सी सब्जेक्ट है कि एंड इफ यू जस्ट गो बैक, आप इस सारी सब्जेक्ट का, मेरी बात का अगर आप ध्यान से डाइसेक्शन करोगे तो आप देखोगे कि लाइफ में सिंप्लिसिटी का होना बड़ा जरूरी है. नमक इज द सिंपलेस्ट थिंग. लाइफ में सिंप्लिसिटी का होना बड़ा जरूरी है. दिस इज द underlying statement of this. So when I make this statement, you know, and that's how I kept learning about management and correlating them with food, you know. So life में simplicity होनी चाहिए. तो simplicity वाली चीज गांधी जी ने देखी, सबसे simple ingredient पकड़ा और आगे निकल गए. जिसकी लाइफ में simplicity है उसकी लाइफ में humbleness है, उसकी लाइफ में serenity है, उसकी लाइफ में pause है. और when you have these things, you are certainly doing something right in your life to move ahead in life. And look at the ingredient salt. Okay? आप मुझे ये बताइए कि जब आप घर पे खाना खाते हैं, जब नमक करेक्ट क्वांटिटी में हो तो आप कभी नहीं बोलते नमक सही है. कम हो तो उसका जिक्र होता है, ज्यादा हो तो ये उसका जिक्र होता है. तो इसका भी मतलब क्या है कि ज्यादा बोलना ये भी ठीक नहीं है, ठीक है ना. कम बोलना ये भी ठीक नहीं है. मछली जितना मुंह खुला रखेगी ना वो हुक में फंसेगी, राइट. तो ये बहुत सारी, इफ यू रियली लुक एट दीज थिंग्स एंड कोरिलेट विद ऑल द मैनेजमेंट प्रिंसिपल्स, यू कोरिलेट विद you know the basic principles of life and how you should move around, you can just, you know, plug in so many things that you really will see that okay, you know, these are the basic fundamentals but the most difficult fundamentals. So that is why the most simple things in life are the most difficult things in life, because we all aim to achieve you know the biggest of things in life. मतलब कि अगर आप समझो कि आज आप 10,000 करोड़ या 1 लाख करोड़ के ओनर हो कंपनी के, you would definitely like to flaunt around things and all, but at that stature can you think कि मैं हवाई चप्पल पहन के आगे जा सकता हूँ? नहीं सोच पाएंगे. It's very difficult.
Thank you, Chef. The origin of biryani, since your book is
जी
so much of
जी
symphony with biryani,
जी
so the origin of biryani is uncertain. Some scholars say
is
that it's
absolutely
West
uncertain.
Asia
Yeah.
and Iran. So they say it comes from the Persian words birinj, which means rice, and biryan, which means fried,
Yes.
before cooking. So
Correct.
is that correct, chef? Can you throw some light on
So,
this?
I mean, food history actually, I would say, is not a very well documented subject. That's the problem, and that's where even at Indian cuisine also we are saying that let's document, let's document, let's document. Okay, as much as you can document it, it is better. Otherwise, we will keep losing those beautiful things that we have. So, what you are saying is right. So, there are many stories to it. One story is yes, the Mughal guys, when they were invading or the countries, their soldiers were given one pot meal because it had a complete carb, it had protein in it. So, that was being cooked by the cooks and that was given to them. That's how biryani evolved. Then there is one story of लखनऊ की बेगम जिन्होंने जो अपने मकबरा वगैरह जो लखनऊ का बन रहा था तब की बात है तब उनके कुक्स ने मांगा तो उनको बना के दिया तो ऐसे बहुत सारी कहानियां हैं अगर पुष्पेश पंत जी की बातें करें तो वो कहते हैं कि भाई ये बिरयानी फॉर्मेट जो हिंदुस्तान में पहले से था है ना तो ये चीज़ें इवॉल्व हुई है ये चीज़ें हम बातें कर रहे हैं इसमें ये कथा भी सही है आपकी what you are mentioning is also right. Definitely, there is an influence which is there of Mughals, which from where it became popular, I would say. So, like, it's a classic thing. Like, for example, if you look at yoga was there before, but who made it popular? We all know Baba Ramdev, right? उन्होंने पॉपुलर कर दिया बट योगा उससे पहले भी बहुत महागुरु थे लेकिन जिसने मार्केटिंग अच्छे से की वो है तो ये दर्शाया गया हर जगह कि मुगल पीरियड में ये ऐसी ऐसी चीज़ें थी और वही हिस्ट्री आगे चल के आई और हमें पता चला उसके बारे में सो वी ऑल अंडरस्टूड दैट ओके बिरयानी दिस इज द रूट एंड दिस इज हाउ बिरयानी evolved in our country and this is how the origin of biryani is.
Yeah, okay. Chef, you say in the book, I went through your book,
Yes.
thank you for sending it
Yeah.
to me. So you say that a perfect biryani does exist. So what about a perfect team or organization? You have a lot of diverse people coming from diverse backgrounds.
Yeah.
How do they drive towards a common goal?
So, when I wrote this book, and I chose biryani only to correlate with management. And I must tell you that when I was cooking as a banquet chef in Centaur Hotel, Juhu, whenever I would cook, I would see, within the vessel, what is happening, how ingredients are behaving, and I would closely watch each of the ingredients. As a chef, I was very passionate about these things. And when I would keep watching and I would see the behavior of these ingredients, and I would say, oh, they are behaving so differently. And when I would see people gather in a group, so each one would have his own characteristic, but yet they would behave differently. Okay, but when they were given a task, they would perform together. So these things keep, I kept correlating these things with management. And when I finally started finding a subject, okay, this is the perfect thing, and this is how it should. It took me about 10 years to actually compile the whole book, because when the fire actually was at the highest peak, then I said, okay, now this needs to be told to somebody to, fix up the things. And we were talking earlier, the publisher with whom I published this book, I had given it as biryani management, okay, because I felt that biryani is a complete management principle. And in India, if you really look at, there is no other food which is better than biryani where you can correlate this with an organization. Look at the list of ingredients. If you spread the list of ingredients in this table, probably this table will fall short for a biryani, okay. There are so many herbs that are ground together to find, to make a biryani masala. And then there are so many perfect ingredients that you choose to make a perfect biryani every day. So you need to, have every ingredient which plays a perfect role to give you a perfect biryani. You have to choose them from the scratch. And there are 100 ingredients, each one having its own flavor. Okay, it's a separate thing. If you pick up choti ilaichi, green cardamom, that will have a separate flavor. Saffron will have a separate flavor. Rose water will have a separate flavor. Perfect basmati rice will have a nice perfume, soft, mellow, sweetness that will come through it. The brown onions have to be perfect. Okay,
Star
this
onions
sourcing,
also.
absolute. Everything, individually, everything has its own flavor. Yet when all these 100 ingredients go into the pot, and when they are mixed together, they are cooked together in the format of a biryani, and as the lid opens, okay, everybody gets only one flavor, which is biryani flavor. And everybody can relate that with it. So that's how I correlated that with an organization that, there could be 10,000 people working for a Tata's or a Reliance or a, Birla or whatever. Each person coming from various parts of our country might have a separate upbringing with separate values that he would be carrying, yet when he gets into that organization he comes out with one flavor, and he keeps talking about that flavor, and he keeps talking about that organization. If he's worked for long in that organization, then he carries that flavor of that organization, that this is the flavor. So that is what I kept correlating. 100 people in an organization, yet one essence. Tata's has empathy essence, sympathy essence, those kind of things that come out of an organization. You can say that, the moment you hear, okay, some kind of a charitable thing, philanthropy thing, you immediately think Tata's. There are other organizations could be doing it, but you immediately correlate. So that's the essence. So 1,000 people could be working, yet there is one essence. So same story with, the hospitality also. You go to Taj group of hotels, you see a separate kind of flavor in the service attitude, in the service things. You go to a Seti restaurant, you see a separate flavor, cleanliness, fatafat service, hygiene, clean, neat. They understand that. So that's the flavor, and that's how it is molded. It is molded, derived in such a manner that there should be one flavor. There cannot be 100 flavors. Okay, so that's when I realized that this is the perfect dish in the country which actually correlates with the management and an organization. You see side by side, that is a perfect correlation between these two things.
Yeah, what you're trying to say is in every organization is multi-layered, like
Yes.
the biryani.
Yes.
So, Chef, you also mentioned in the book about the qualities of a good leader.
Yeah.
So, what are the qualities we need for? And also, there are many chefs who have become entrepreneurs now.
Correct.
So, and the journey is very challenging. You fall
Correct.
sometimes, you get up again. So, what is the advice you would give like chefs who are aspiring entrepreneurs also?
So, chefs who want to become great entrepreneurs, I would say the first thing is, chef is a very passionate thing, okay? I believe he works from his heart, less from his brains, okay? And only then the dish comes out perfect, okay? And that's the way it should be. So, when you actually work in this manner, when I mean that less from his brain, doesn't mean that he doesn't utilize his brains at all, but इट इज़ पैशन. दिल से आनी चाहिए वो बात. मैं दिल से खाना बना रहा हूँ. एक माँ कैसे बनाती खाना, मैं दिल से बना रही हूँ. आपको दर्द होना चाहिए जब कोई आपको बोल दे कि खाने में मज़ा नहीं आया. तो वो दिल वाली बात इसलिए मैं कर रहा हूँ कि इट कम्स फ्रॉम द हार्ट. इट इज़ द पैशन दैट कम्स फ्रॉम द हार्ट, एंड दैट्स हाउ इट इज़. सो फॉर अ शेफ who is passionate, he has to first, completely shed off the passion. Completely shed off the passion to become an entrepreneur. And he has to start thinking what is sellable. Okay? And start learning the maths of selling things. So the moment he starts learning the maths of selling things, then he will say, okay, the maths of selling things is this way. This is the requirement. This is the need. I might be knowing 10,000 best things, but do these 10,000 things fit into this selling format? If they don't fit in, then you need to, adjust things as per what is sellable, as per the geographical thing, as per the need of the market. Once these two things marry well, then the chef can add passion. कि हाँ, अब ये चीज मैच हो गई है, अब वापस passion को लाना है. So first you have to shed the passion, learn the entrepreneurship, okay, learn the maths of selling things, understand the geographies and why things are selling, why things are happening that way, then bring the passion. कि हाँ, अब मुझे passion चाहिए कि अब मैं गेस्ट से मिलूंगा, प्यार से खाना खिलाऊंगा, आदर करूंगा, वेलकम करूंगा, thank you बोलूँगा, तो वो जो layer है, वो top layer है, that will add value. But that will add value only when you know that I have created some sellable USP things, and that is what is working. So for a chef, these are very important things, and these are long-term things, and that is how legacy restaurants are created. If you really look at legacy restaurants which are known for one subject are very few now. They're dying off actually, because earlier the people who created legacy restaurant would be sitting right at the entry of the restaurant. Okay, they would be sitting right at the entry of the restaurant to understand the pulse, feel, everything. So for each hospitality guy or the person who is a chef or a manager should stand at the gate also. Manager of course stands, but the moment he understands, see many times, you know, there is this study which all these food companies do. They make you sit in a room and they do not ask you questions. They have, if you're 10 people, 10 cameras will be focused on your face. Okay, and you will be given ingredients to taste. And it is their facial expression through which you will come to know whether it is right or wrong. So, the person who is standing at the door of the restaurant, he would be able to understand whether the guest is walking out happy, sad, what is his reaction. So, those are legacy things. Those have been left by legacy, legendary restaurants, which who's like who people who actually have left us with lot of legacy dishes. They are the people we should learn from. We should spend time with them. If you want to become an entrepreneur, learn why things happen, how things happen, and then bring in the passion to it. And I believe this is very, very important. Like in Bombay, if you really see, I would again come back to the Shetty restaurants. You should learn from them how they manage it well.
Chef, in the book, there's a quote which says that a restaurant is a fantasy, a
Yes.
living fantasy where the customers and your diners are the most important members of the cast.
Correct.
So in today's world, where everything is app-driven, you have Zomato, Swiggy, Blinkit, Zepto. So how do you build customer loyalty?
So, the first and foremost thing is that earlier we would mention that food was probably the 80% derivative of dine-in, that 80% derivative of happiness was food. Now that 80% has come little lower, okay. Now it has come to presentation, ambience, packaging, interpersonal relationships, the manager's interaction. So it is a big task for an organization who wants to open. So I would probably go to a restaurant where I'm recognized time and again, and I'm given the same seat, come what may, or I am being made comfortable. Sir, आप बैठो ना, आप थोड़ी देर खड़े रहो, restaurant full है, मैं आपके लिए पहले करके देता हूँ. So the things have changed. So when you have that kind of attention being given to you, then food is a subject matter, but food, if it is 50 to 60% good, then you say, नहीं खाना अच्छा था. But 100% good food is memories that you have created. For that, you actually probably walk that extra mile, remember that dish, why. So these are things that have been created very well again by legacy restaurants. So I run restaurants now, I keep telling this to all my staff that you have to remember these things. To create a legacy restaurant, you need to build relationships with the guest who will actually become your, not your
Brand
customer,
ambassador.
but they become your brand ambassadors, they become your talking points, and they keep telling people. And I've been doing this since early days as a chef in a hotel. When I would work, I would spend time in the kitchen, but when it would be dining time period, that would be the time I would spend quite a lot of time inside the restaurant, talking to customers, asking them their feedback, good, bad, ugly. If, as a person, you are able to face all the wrath of the customers, which means you have broken your ego, you have broken your shell, you are ready to face the challenge. So Dine in में you are able to see the customer, but delivery you are not able to see the customer. So delivery is a very big challenge because you have delivered, even though there are parameters which we have said that, okay, you know, while we delivered the food, we have taken photograph, there is no spillage, X, Y, Z. Customer is least bothered that the aggregator, the guy who delivered through the aggregator app or the aggregator, he is least bothered. So there are other conditions that aggregator might say, sir, sadak hi achhi nahi thi, gaadi itni bounce ho rahi thi, then the government comes into play. Okay? तो उसमें अब आप किसको ब्लेम करोगे कि सड़क अच्छी नहीं थी, 1 साल से सड़क अच्छी नहीं है, अब वो एग्रीगेटर को वहीं से जाना पड़ रहा है, और वो तेल वाली सब्जेक्ट है जो आपने पैक करके दी है, तो दैट हैज केप्ट बाउंसिंग. So sometimes there is leakage, spillage that happens, that goes into the packaging. So the first irritation starts happening there, even though the food could be good. But the moment you see a packaging or a packet which has oil spillage, खाना कितना भी अच्छा हो, 50% आपने मन में बना लिया है ऑलरेडी देखते ही, ये खाना बकवास है. अब उसमें ना रेस्टोरेंट की गलती है, ना एग्रीगेटर की गलती, अब गवर्नमेंट की गलती है. गवर्नमेंट मानेगी नहीं, बोले हम तो काम कर रहे हैं. तो फंसा कौन? At the end of the day, the person who actually suffers is the restaurant, nobody else. Okay. So there are so many other things that come into play, you know. So the only thing is, sir, did the order reach on time? And if you are doing 200 orders for a night, you can't call all the customers to ask them, you know, कि सर खाना अच्छा पड़ा. It's humanly impossible. And if you are running 20 cloud kitchens or 10 cloud kitchens और 2000 ऑर्डर जा रहे हैं 10 क्लाउड किचन से, तो ह्यूमनली इम्पॉसिबल है. तब आप उनको ही बोलोगे जो आपके ऐप में लिखते हैं खाना अच्छा है या गंदा है. गंदा है तो एक ही ऑल्टरनेटिव है, वापस खाना भेजो, ठीक है, और कोई इलाज ही नहीं है आपके पास. सो वी कीप डूइंग दीज थिंग्स एंड दैट्स हाउ इट इज. कस्टमर लॉयल्टी इज बिल्ट थ्रू दीज थिंग्स. सो यू कीप रीचिंग आउट. But if you don't reach out to a customer who's written on the social media, then for sure you are losing a customer. So that effort, irrespective of however large your organization is, you should reach out. And I tell you, I give you a classic example. When Fitbit was launched in the world, you know, I was in America, I bought Fitbit and I came to India. मैंने Fitbit पहना, थोड़ा भागता दौड़ता रहा पसीने से, वो फिटबिट खराब हो गया. और 1 महीने के अंदर, एंड आई रोड बैक टू द फिटबिट कंपनी इन यूएस दैट आई डू नॉट हैव द बिल बिकॉज दिस माय फ्रेंड बॉट मी एंड दिस इज द फिटबिट. और उसके पीछे जो भी उसके नंबर से मैंने फोटो खींच के आई अटैच टू यू नो द ईमेल एंड आई सेंड इट अक्रॉस टू देम. नो क्वेश्चंस आस्क्ड. आई वाज गिवन अनदर फिटबिट. Within 15 days, I was delivered another Fitbit. No questions asked. Send me the bill, do me that. So this is also a thing which as restaurateurs we should learn, that the moment the customer is complained, बाद में ध्यान दो कि बाद में dissect करो कि किसके कारण ये गलती हुई थी. उसने complain किया ना, address it, make him quiet, then give it. So that's what Fitbit gave me, and I still, Fitbit is not, you know, now one of the, earlier it was the largest, now it is not visible so much, but I still keep talking about it. So they created a customer who keeps talking about the brand. Someday if they evolve again, I might go back and buy again, you know.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll come to my last question, Chef.
Yes.
In the book, you mentioned about this Maslow hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
Where you start from
Yeah.
basic needs and you go up to self-esteem and self-realization.
Correct.
But now we are in Gen Beta. So
Ji.
2025 is a generational landmark
Yes.
where you move from Gen Alpha to Gen Beta.
Ji.
So do you think, what if Gen Alpha and Gen Beta, the youngsters, the millennials, want to jump the hierarchy?
So I tell you one thing, very thing. यहाँ जितने बड़े बड़े पेरेंट्स बैठे ना, जिस दिन उन्होंने उनकी मंथली सेविंग बच्चों को देनी बंद कर दी ना, ये जेन अल्फा बीटा गामा ऐसे लुढ़कते हुए सड़कों पे नजर आएंगे कि मजा आ जाएगा मेरे को देख के. बहुत मजा आएगा. मतलब ये हमारी गलती है, हम ही उनको नहीं कह रहे हैं कि बॉस तुम करो. मेरे माँ बाप ने मुझे जब छोड़ दिया था हॉस्टल में, मुझे 200 रुपये मिलते थे, ठीक है जी. 120 रुपये हॉस्टल की फीस होती थी. 20 रुपए या 40 रुपए मेस की फीस होती थी, 60 रुपए में मुझे महीना गुजारना होता था। तो वो बस के पीछे बिना टिकट लटक के जाना, सब करना था कि 2 रुपए बच जाए या 50 पैसे बच जाए, वो सब किया। आज आज बच्चे ने बोल दिया पापा लोकल ट्रेन में जाना, क्या उबर करो। तो फिर ये वी आर ऑल्सो एट फॉल्ट. सो
I
आई
agree.
थिंक yes, I do not deny that there are more success stories also happening with Zen Alpha and Beta. They they want too much in shortcut. Okay, so that is one thing that is worrying. And there are recent reports from very large organizations where they are clearly mentioning that they do not want to hire this generation of alpha, beta, gamma, jo bhi hai. They do not want to hire because their focus to detail, attention, perseverance, patience is zero. They do not want to hold. ठहराव नहीं है, आज ही चाहिए. अगर बाप ने कोई लेगेसी 50 साल में बिल्ड की है तो मैं अपने बच्चों को ट्रेन कर रहा हूं कि बॉस आप 10 साल में बिल्ड कर सकोगे जो मैंने किया, या उसे 5 साल 5 दिन में नहीं कर पाओगे भाई. कोई तुम्हारे पास भगवान की दी हुई छड़ी नहीं है कि तुमने घुमाया और कुछ भी कर दिया, वो नहीं होगा. 50 का 10 में बहुत मुशक्कत करनी पड़ेगी, और वो भी बिकॉज देयर इज समबडी बैकिंग यू बिहाइंड. Okay, because and you know that if I fall back, I do not have to worry. But I mean, this is something which we need to understand and train people, and it's very, very important that the youngsters have these few qualities in them and build the few qualities. And we have seen large companies do be very aggressive. And one of those classic ones, if you and I will name it only here itself. पेटीएम के शुरू वाले यूट्यूब वीडियोस देखिए आप, उनके सीईओ को कितने एग्रेसिव थे, सुन के मुझे भी बड़ा मजा आता था. लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं देखिए कहाँ है ना. ऐसे बहुत सारे ऐसे एग्जांपल्स हैं जो who went like this, rocket goes like this, unless and until he is Elon Musk, to do that mechanism कि हम वापस पकड़ लेंगे, वो भी मतलब बहुत समय लगेगा सक्सेसफुल होने के लिए एक्चुअली वैसे. एंड जो उसमें बैठ के जाएंगे वो फुल रिस्क में जाएंगे कि वापस आ गए तो ठीक, नहीं आए तो भाई, है ना. तो so the quality is, I think we are happy that the Zen Alpha and the millennials and all these people, they have that quality of doing something which is quite exciting, quite good. But in my field, in my field of hospitality, yes, we have shifted from saying that you have to have gray hair to become an executive chef to the story that yes, you can become an executive chef of a good 5-star hotel in 30 years of age. You can do that because there are a lot of things at your disposal, okay, that you can go through and achieve. मेरे ज़माने में किसी को कोई चीज़ सीखनी होती थी तो ट्रेन पकड़ के पहले वहाँ जाओ, उस उस्ताद को खुश करो, फिर होता था, क्योंकि ना इंटरनेट था ना मीन्स ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन था. तो आज की तारीख में बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं जिसको अगर सब लोग ठीक तरह से यूज़ करें तो इट विल हेल्प देम. एंड आई थिंक आई विश दीज यंगस्टर्स ऑल्सो ऑल द बेस्ट to do well in life, and it's almost learning for us also. New venues have been created by them, and for us also it is learning. Like I keep learning social media every day in my office, and it's a big task. It's not an easy task. The language which they use is amazing. I mean, hats off to them for that language. I mean, which you understand from the post, or from the post itself. You can understand कि ये कोई बूढ़ा आदमी मेरे जैसा पोस्टिंग कर रहा अपने इंस्टाग्राम हैंडल पे, और मेरी बेटी अगर करे तो मुझे समझ में आया था कि अच्छा इसने किया है. लैंग्वेज से ही समझ में आया थी. So there are many things we learn from them also. It's an age of learning. So for us, our stage, I mean, I would say from where we have come to where we are now and where we will be. For us, it is a complete cycle which we have seen. Cycle से गाड़ी से aeroplane से rocket से लेके अब air taxis, we are seeing these things. बच्चों ने तो सीधा देख लिया air taxi. Cycle क्या होता है? बुता था. So when I tell my children that I went to a restaurant to dine out only at 18 years of age, they will say, Papa, it cannot be possible. तुम्हारे शहर में restaurant ही नहीं था. अब नहीं गए ही 18 साल की उम्र में पहली बार. So for them, there are many things that are astonishing, but for us, it is nice. We have some memories for us.
Yeah.
Probably they will also have.
But the whole thing is that the learning never stops. Whether it is
Learning,
for us or
absolutely,
it is for them,
for all of
we should
them. I mean,
always be learning.
at speed, when you move at speed, you should not forget that there is constant learning at speed. Okay, and that is true for everybody, whether you are in the mode of speed or you are in the mode of an tortoise. There is learning throughout.
Thank you, Chef, for that wonderful chat that we have had. And you all can all see the book here. I think it's available on Amazon, right?
Yes, it is
Chef?
available on Amazon.
Yeah, so it's available on Amazon. I went through it. It was very interesting. So I'm sure you all will also find it interesting. Thank you, Chef,
Thank you. Thank
for
you,
your
ma'am.
time
Thank you,
and
ma'am.
being with us.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
hope to see you again soon. And all the best for you to write another book.